So it's been a week since the final episode of Star Wars The Acolyte aired. So, what did I think of the show as a whole? Overall, I thought the show was really good. It told a great story, but there's a couple things. One, the story may have been told better if it was given a few more episodes or given less. And by given less, I mean if they've portrayed it more like a movie and done it as a movie, might have been able to do better because then some of the splits wouldn't have occurred when they did. But that's a pacing issue and a streaming issue overall. I'm kind of sick of these super short seasons that don't let a chance for the characters to breathe and all that. If you're gonna make them short, you just might as well make streaming movies anyhow. But releasing it over time is better for getting audience attention because you get a lot more people talking about it. But I do think the show could have been served a lot better if it had more time to breathe. But that's minor. That's really minor. But probably the biggest question I want to address in this recap review: what was the show actually about? And there's a lot of different takes. There's some people online, it really frustrated me, but they're convinced that this show was all about making the Jedi out to be the evil bad guys and the Sith are great and good. I literally saw someone who had that take and it's wrong. That is just a bad take. The Jedi are still the good guys, but they make mistakes. They have problems. That's what the show is about. At least the maybe not entirely about, but that's at least the overarching premise of the show. Why is everything happening? It's because the Jedi, the good guys, well intentioned, made a mistake and those mistakes that they made were never addressed and it snowballed. That is the overarching premise, the overarching story of the show. And the real story is how that affected May and Osha, two characters. Yes, also how it affected Sora as well, but he's the tragic hero in all this. He's the person who had the good intentions, but his fundamental flaw, his essentially desire to do good and be the good guy, got in his way of actually being the good guy. That makes him a tragic hero because he was unable to overcome his fundamental flaw, his desire to be the good guy, his desire to be the teacher. All that got in the way of him actually being the good guy. He's still a good guy, relatively, and depends on your perspective, depends on your point of view. But the thing is that he's still a great character because of his flaw. And his tragedy is that he couldn't overcome it. And Maynosha, well, Soul's flaw led to him making a huge mistake. And the heart of the story is about them dealing with it. I feel like we got a little more attention shown to Soul, and we got to see his story a little better than Osha and May's. But that's because Osha and May's story is still going on. Their story is not complete, but Soul's story was. But let's look at what their story really was about in this show. May, well, her story is learning that she doesn't need to seek revenge. She needs justice. And realizing her sister was alive and her deciding that no, she didn't want to kill Saul out of anger, but have him confess his crimes and face justice. That was May's story. She was learning to let go of her anger and her hate. Yes, she still wanted Saul to make amends, to apologize, to face the consequences of his actions, but she no longer was seeking revenge. She was actually seeking justice. But Osha, on the other hand, her story is different. She has all this anger, all this fear pumped up inside of her, and it releases and she embraces the dark side. Her story is the opposite of her sister's. Her sister goes from dark to light. She's going from light to dark because throughout the course of the story, they both realize the path they're currently on is not working for them. Like I said, May realizes she doesn't want revenge, she wants justice. Meanwhile, and also her sister, same thing with Osha as well. Meanwhile, Osha, her pumped up anger, her pumped up hate boils up and she releases it and she decided there's no turning back. Those are the three main characters of the show: Soul, Osha, and May. And one's a tragic hero, One's a redemption arc that still needs to be completed, and the other is a fall. Can I quite say, quite good Star Wars stories when you really think about it. What is Star Wars about? It's about redemption, it's about tragedy, it's about people falling, and redemption again. Yeah, this checks all the Star Wars marks, so it's a great show. Not just because it checks those marks, but because those hallmarks of Star Wars are baked into the show, but they were able to tell it in a way that's different. Normally, we see a lot more of the redemption side of things, of the heroes overcoming our villains, which is still great. But here we got to see the villains get a small win, and we don't quite have any sense of hope. At least not as much as we do like when the villains win in Empire Strikes Back or Revenge of the Sith or The Last Jedi. But this show really is telling the story from the villain's perspective and is giving us a different take on Star Wars, which I love. There's definitely more I can say, but let's get a discussion going. The comment section is down below so we can discuss there, or you can go check out my Discord server, DockingBay555, and we can begin a discussion there as well, because there is so much more to discuss, and now that I got my thoughts, I want to hear yours. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. You can also stay up to date on my content by following me on social media. I have a link tree down in the description which has all my social media links on it. Additionally, if you would like to support the channel, you can become a channel member and get early access to all my videos. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.